Yes, ma'am, you proceed further.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this Saturday's book talk. The book talk is on a very interesting book called Leaders Eat Last, which is by Simone Selik. And the book talk will be given by our alumni, Foram Chandarana. She's from the batch of 2017 BE Computers. Presently, she is the Chief Executive Officer at Rajkot Management Association. We are very happy to have you, one of our voracious readers, as well as an innovator, a designer, always looking out for something to think out of the box. So I'm looking forward to listen to this book because I know you had a lot of positive things to tell us about this book. So over to you, Forum. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, one and all. This is, as I said, this is like a homecoming. I've spent lot of my engineering days inside the library, and lot of initiatives have been taken, and it is all because the management was very open to new ideas and welcoming the experiments. So, one and all, it was a great experience, and coming back to the same platform is it's really nice. So very excited. The two things, like coming back to the home, and also with a book which is so close to me, so close that I've put it in my CV. And so last page of my CV is basically my personal stuff, like what are my work priorities and all those things. So in that, I've mentioned that a holy scripture for me is this book, Leaders Eat Last. And I won't go into my stories. I will just jump into directly to the book. So Simon Sinek is YouTube. TED. His one of the video which was published on TED Talk, and it got millions and millions of views. It was one of the third most watched TED Talk in the world, and you know, from that popularity, uh, he's now known to all the people. Like he has now five books come out already. This is his second book, Leaders Eat Last. And let me start with his why, just because the story of his fame started from this why discovery. He has a simple golden circle concept where you should always start with why, and why it is important to start with why. So I'll start this with his why. So why he, his team, his company wakes up every single day, what they have committed their life, uh, you know, uh, uh, till the last breath of their life, they are working. They are going to work on this thing, and that thing is that they have committed their life to. Um, is that they imagine a world, and this is what they are striving, striving every day to create that world in which vast majority of people wake up inspired, feel safe wherever they are, and end the day fulfilled by the work they do. So I'll repeat this again, and will pose a question mark for all of us to introspect. Do we wake up inspired? Do we feel safe wherever we are, and end the day fulfilled by the work we do? So if the answer is not very clear, it will get clear at the end of the book. And yeah, I wish, I just wish more and more people read his work and understand and implement. So um, there was uh, there was this before this Osama bin Laden, part where American people were trying to figure his place out, and there were certain special operations, and there was one of the special operations in Afghanistan, and it was all dark. There were no starlights, or there were no moonlight. It was all dark, and it was covered with clouds, and below the clouds there were 22 men, and they were being watched in the valley of Afghanistan. And the story is about Johnny Bravo, which is his nickname, is who is really the Captain Mike Drawley, and he is above the clouds. He and his wingmen, so they are in the fighter jets, and these 22 men are below the clouds in the valley. So they were very safe up. Johnny Bravo and his wingmen were very safe above the clouds. What they were doing was, if there is a call for emergency, if there is if the people below the clouds need them, they are supposed to go down and help them. So that is what their job was. But he was very safe. There was no radio signals that they need help. But somehow he felt that something wrong is going on, inside. Those were just his gut feelings and intuitions. And he thought, let me just go down and check what is going on. And while he was, he was not asked to do it. And he would even have, people have told him that without the orders, you should not have gone, risking your life. So, but he was not like other people. He was Johnny Bravo. And he while he was starting to go, take his trip down the clouds, he got the radio signals. It was a very, very hardly coming radio signals. The signals were not good enough, but what he heard was troops in contact. And what that means is that they are in danger. The firing have already started and they are in danger. And I cut the story short. He risked his life. He just went down, did some hits, good hits. When he was out of the his fuel was good, but when he was out of the fire, the uh, the firing was went away. Like, sorry, the when he was out of his armor, he called his wingmen, and they both, he just asked his wingmen to follow him, and they gave the good hits. It was very scary. He hit a lot of times. There was a time he couldn't even understand that, whether he where he has to shoot. So he will tell you that there are risk. There are certain risks which are fate, uh, fate worse than death. There are certain fate which are worse than death, and one is accidentally killing your own men. You know, and another fate worse than death is going home alive when 22 others don't. So these are the fate. So he would opt uh, to that to death, not the other two. So so what the point of the story is that he went, he saved that day 22 men, came went home alive. And the story is that Johnny Bravo risked his life so that others might survive. And there was no performance bonus, there was no promotion, there was no award. You know, he was not even looking for any reality TV show or attention from media. What he says is it was just a part of his job, as he puts it. So just a part of his job. And this author, Simon Sinek, he has spent a lot of his time, you know, with his why journey, and then with military people, with Marines, with Air Force. And what he was wondering is that where does these people like Johnny Bravo comes from? Like, are they just born that way? They are just nice people. That was his just one first conclusion, that they are just nice people. Like what did their parents eat when they were, in the womb? Like, what did their parents eat to create a child like to person like Johnny Bravo? So where the commitment, the integrity is so much. These things are so much higher in value. So he thought that, okay, no, his first assumption that they are just nice people, they are just born that way, is not true. He further dug down into what is this all about? Like, how do there is a group of strangers in the Marine Corps. They are onboarded, and after few years they are risking their lives for each other. Like, where does this come from? And they give bonuses to people who risk their lives for others. That is the difference between our corporate culture and the military culture. They give bonuses to people where one risks their life to save others, and in corporate culture we give bonuses to people who sacrifice others to gain themselves. So why we have got everything backward? So this was his journey which led to this book, Leaders Eat Last, why some team pull together and others don't. And there are a lot of stories of corporate people, corporate CEOs, leaders. There are a lot of stories of military people. There are a lot of statistics that it is not just mushy gushy stuff we are talking here. It is real stuff. Like these things works, and there are statistics which supports that. That if you do the right things over the longer period of time, even financial wise, the company will grow. So this is um, uh, one of the real life incident with Simon happened was that he was staying in Four Seasons hotel, and he met a barista downstairs, and he went for a cup of coffee, and he met this barista named Noah. So this story is about Noah, and he was very fun. He was very engaging. They had a very nice conversation together, and Simon enjoyed a lot. Having that cup of coffee. So Simon almost gave him 100% tip to Noah. And when they were discussing, Simon asked him that, "Do you like your job?" And Noah, without skipping a bit, he said, "I love my job." And Simon was amazed, like the work he is doing, this is something very significant. So he asked him, said, "What makes you say that you love your job?" So Noah said that managers here will walk past me and will ask me whether I'm doing good, and they will offer care, and they will and not just my managers, any managers. So it was the culture there, which was very supportive to Noah, and he liked that culture. And then after a pause, Noah said that I also work at Caesar's Palace, and there my managers will catch me. They are only looking if someone makes a mistake. They will catch me if I have done some, and I just keep my head under the radar. I just wait for my paycheck. I don't engage anybody. I don't engage with anybody there. Uh, so, so while you might have seen the poster of this book, there is a quote that if a flower doesn't bloom, maybe you should fix the environment in which it grows, uh, not the flower. So this is the story of Noah captures that the same person at Four Seasons and the same persons at Caesar's Palace. So it is the environment which makes the difference. So Noah says that only at Four Seasons he feels that he is himself. He can be himself. He can express himself only at that place. And when you create an environment where people can openly express themselves, you create a culture where Simon enjoyed the coffee so much, and that is good for the business as well. Uh, there is another story of Bob Chapman. He is the CEO of Barry Waymiller. It is a company, a manufacturing company, and they make machines for. So, like if you have machineries for doing the work, so maybe packaging machine or sort of that. So they don't pack the goods, but they make the machine for packaging goods. So such kind of company. And the story goes like this. He was inducted into this Barry Waymiller after, like, he left his last company, and he was supposed to be introduced in this new company. and nobody knew him. Like there was supposed to be an announcement during the lunch that okay, they were going to introduce the new CEO. But before that, Chapman was taking a cup of coffee in the cafeteria, and what he noticed had dramatically changed the way he was going to work in this new company. He saw that there were workers, they were having their breakfast, they were, laughing together, they were putting bets on the basketball tournament, uh, and there was giggling and laughing and all that stuff. And when the bell rang, there was a sudden stop to all that chitter, and they, with a sad, with a very neutral or sad face, they went to their work. They headed towards their work, and Chapman thought that why not we enjoy work like this? Like for him, that scenario played out as if there was a climax changed uh, uh, before and after the bell rang, and he thought that uh, maybe he has this opportunity to change the scenario. So he called one of the employee, uh, and his name was Ron Campbell, and he told him, uh, so he, so just to understand the company, there was a meeting between Chapman and one of the employee, and the first thing that Ron asked him was that, if I tell you the truth, uh, will I have my job the next day? And that was the fear. And Chapman told him that if you have any problem about like for what you tell me today, you just call me, And then Ron opened up and he shared whatever uh, whatever the problem was. So he said that, you know uh, there are administrators, there are computer operators, and there are workers, shop floor workers. We all enter the gate together. Someone, some people go down and work in the shop floor, and some people uh, go upstairs and work in the computer area. You know, and you allow them, to, if they want to do a call at their home that they might be late, you allow them, but you keep us, uh, you know we have to take permission to even to call our children. We They can decide, when to have lunch or when to go for a cup of tea, but you make me wait for the bell. So as if there are, two companies going on. Like we don't feel like we are treated as humans. We have to wait for the bell to go for lunch. And even there was this machine part department where which was locked, and people had to stand in line, and if they, any of the part of the machinery is, damaged, they have to ask for the permission, and then they have to take the part. And so what it told the people was that we don't trust you. So it was kept just to save the theft, but the price they were gaining from saving the theft, they were paying it to, telling their people that we don't trust you. So small and little Chapman was, uh, Chapman started, changing this whole uh, narrative by doing one thing at a time. Some big, some small steps, some didn't work, some worked. But first of all, he told to remove all the bells. Then he told, remove the lock from the parts department. And slowly, he created an environment where everybody trusted each other and they helped each other. There was a time when one of the worker, his wife uh, was health was not good, and he could now lean to the manager. He could now lean to senior authorities and his fellow members. They all came together and helped him, because he could not lose his daily wage. So he could not even stay with his wife. He could not leave his daily wage. So they came up with some program. They came up with some idea where they traded their vacation leaves with him. This was not the case before all these changes Chapman did. It is a new company now. People came together to help each other, and it is not just this, as I said, it's not just this mushy gushy stuff. But you can, well, there are statistics which says that in 5 years or 10 years, what is uh, the growth the company has seen. And he mentions Bob Chapman a lot of time in his books. So there are a lot of incidences. So as all the companies faced, there was economic crisis, and every other company were doing the layoff. You know, they will select some bottom line of people and they will lay off them just to match their economic balance sheets in the economic crisis. And Chapman, uh, this was the first time Chapman had to think about economic uh, uh, standpoint, and layoff was not at all his option. What instead he implemented was a compulsory furlough program, wherein every member from CEO to shop floor people, everybody from has to take compulsory 2 day leave, 2 day unpaid vacation. And the way he announced this program, you can see his leadership from way he announced this program. And he said that we all should suffer a little instead of some of us has to suffer a lot. Um, so this was the compulsory furlough program, and people traded, their unpaid vacation with each other. Those who could afford less traded with those who could afford more. So uh, this was something like I've I've read this audiobook several times, since last 2 years, and there will be a moment in one of the chapters where I will, uh, I'll burst into tears. So there are a lot of such incidences in this book. So that is why this makes it so special for me. Um, so so there are chapters in which what he has done is there are a lot of positive stories and there are negative stories. So there are stories when someone has screwed something up and he will share that incident, and there are stories where something good is implemented and what benefits are there, he will share that story. So this book is all on that. There's one particular second part of it where there are only statistics. So what he's saying is that, okay, what do we do? What is the solution? Like, do we leave our job if we are not feeling good enough? So there are studies like people, uh, you know um, uh, there was a study in 2010, 2011, and 1 in 3 people seriously consider leaving their job, but only 25%, like like only 1.5% of employees actually voluntarily left. We don't leave our jobs. We feel that, okay, the danger outside is more dangerous than danger inside. So let us keep uh, let us stay. It's very difficult to uh, come out of this so-called comfort we are in. And but there are some, as I say, there are some statistics which says that uh, in 2011 a study was conducted by a team of social scientists in University of Canberra, and it says that having a job we hate is as bad for our health, and sometimes worse, than not having job at all. So these two are same, having job and not having job at all. The job we hate and job not having a job at all, and sometimes it's job we hate is worse. There's another study at University College London, and it said that if you feel you have put in a lot of effort and it has not been rewarded, the increase stress and in turn the risk of it increases stress and in turn the risk of heart disease. So they have linked the risk of heart disease with the stress, work stress, and this one particular study, which I was fascinated by this, and a study of two researchers at Graduate School of Social Work at Boston College. What they studied was that a child's sense of well-being is affected less by the long hours their parents put in at work, and more by the mood of their parents when they come home. So if you're coming home late, but if you love your job, it's okay. It has no impact on your child's well-being. But if you come, if you if your quantity of work hours is less, but if you come home with stress, they have linked this study to child bullies in the school and a lot of uh, problems with the kids. And parents may feel guilty and children may miss them, but late nights at the office or frequent business trips are not likely the problem. You know, so this concluding line hit really hard. Uh, net, if you don't like your work, for your kids' sake, don't go home. Uh, this third part is something which stands out for Simon in a lot of ways. It is not just about statistics or stories. He has linked everything we do, like why we do it, with our biology and anthropology and our psychology. How our body works and why we work like that. So considering from where we have come from, from Paleolithic era, we had no education, no jobs, no companies. There were no even countries. There were some group of people scattered in open playgrounds, and every day there was just one. Every day there was just one thing to do, like survive. Survive, survive, survive. And from that we have come along this way, and everything which we have today as our biology is because of that. So we have eyebrows, because to to uh, to remove the sweat. So while we are walking, like while we are running from the prey or becoming a prey, uh, the eyebrows helps us to let the sweat away. Uh, And the taste buds we have are not because we can enjoy, undio or jalebi fafda. They are there to tell our body, to tell our stomach which enzymes should be released. The taste buds are for that. So every part of our body is cleverly designed, and the nature has rewarded us to when we do good, and they have punished us for not doing good. So uh, we used to live in small groups, about 150 people, and there were two specific chemicals. He talks about four chemicals and one cortisol. So four chemicals are endorphin, dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. Uh, Two chemicals are selfish chemicals and two are selfless chemicals. One, the selfish chemicals helps us that we don't starve to death. That's a paradox, that we don't starve to death, and the other two, if the other two are not there, we would be cold blooded. So he talks about all the four and the fifth one by one with a detailed description with some of stories as well. And so endorphin is the runner's high. See, if people had to, hunt animals, and they have to go long ways and long ways to hunt an animal. And if they would have run out of energy and they would have given up, we wouldn't have survived. So nature has given this boost of endorphin, that the more you run, you get a shot of endorphin, and it though you are, stressed inside, you are tired inside, you will enjoy it. You will enjoy running. And endorphin is the runner's high. We generally get it now with sports or human labor, and this is why, sports people, those who are regular into sports, they sometimes crave that feeling, because sometimes if they miss their routine, so they crave that feeling. So that is because of endorphin. uh, dopamine is uh, dopamine is released when you finish off a task from your to-do list. You cross check that, okay, this work is done. And when you hit a goal, you get a shot of dopamine. When you when you hit when you get a like, you get a shot of dopamine. So dopamine is something, it rewards you when you finish one task. And uh, it was the nature had given us to focus on the work we are up to. If we saw a tree, an apple tree, and if we don't focus on getting the apple, the odds are that we might not uh, get the apples. So just to focus where we are heading. And so when you're heading towards the tree, you get a shot of dopamine. The tree seems to get larger, you get a shot of dopamine. And then when you finally reach there, and when you pick up an apple, you get another shot of dopamine. uh, but it is highly addictive, and that is also described at large in this book, that how it is so addictive. You get also dopamine from cigarettes and alcohol, and you get also from social media. So that's why it is so addictive in nature. Then there are serotonin. It's a leadership chemical. When our status rise in the group, when we feel valued, we get a set shot of serotonin. And let's say we don't held any convocation, in colleges. We just email with a generic congratulations letter, and we attach a degree or diploma certificate, and say that, okay, you have completed your degree. Like, how will that sound? Like, someone has spent their, maybe, PhD, or their entire 4 years or 5 years or 7 years into something. And when we arrange a convocation, when we call their parents, when they stand in this, when they get up in the stage, they receive a reward. They get a shot of serotonin, and even their parents get a shot of serotonin. So there are a lot of examples about marathon, and again social media, in terms of explaining the serotonin part. Then the last chemical is oxytocin, and that makes this is the favorite chemical of all. So it's when we come together, when we do some acts of generosity for each other, when we help each other, when we shake hands, uh, an oxytocin rush is there in our body. And unlike dopamine, it is long lasting. Like, dopamine is like, you get a shot, you get a high, and then you're down. And oxytocin is long lasting. If you see a movie where some hero has done some remarkable work, he has injured himself and saved a lot of people, you see the acts of generosity, and you get an oxytocin rush. You like that thing, and you are inspired by that, and you also want to do something good for others. This is the nature telling us to do more with uh, cleverly designed chemicals. There's another study, he has mentioned, which was very remarkable. There are lots of evidence that children who are deprived of human contact, who are deprived of sufficient doses of oxytocin, have trouble building relationships later in their life. Without these selfless chemicals, as I said, we would be cold-blooded. If there are crocodiles in the river, and if they see a catch, they will fight with each other. And if one gets the part of their meal without any consideration of sharing with the other crocodile, they will go away, enjoying their own meal. And there will be no at zero consideration for the other person who is starving, the other crocodile. And because nature has not given any reward system to them, and the other crocodile who didn't got its meal won't have any negative negative perceptions or revenge for that crocodile. It's all fair to them, like it's all normal to them. That's why they are cold blooded. And that's the difference. It creates this selfless chemicals creates between human beings and cold blooded animals. So all the studies use the risk of heart disease, increasing the risk of heart disease, or not enjoying the work. This is all because of this fifth chemical he has extensively described called cortisol. Cortisol is the stress hormone, and it is released. It was again cleverly designed for our survival. Um, there's this one beautiful story. I just finish that first. And uh, it was a sunny day, and all the gazelles were enjoying their grassing. And there was a group of them, and one of them felt a rustle in the grass. He suddenly stopped eating, and he was shocked. Uh, the other gazelle who saw this, that someone has alerted to danger, he also stopped eating. And then soon everybody stopped eating. That there's some danger. They felt only one has, felt some danger, but nobody has actually seen anything. But they are already alerted. They have stopped eating and they're already alerted. Then one of the gazelle who didn't, who didn't feel the danger, actually saw the lion coming, and he just made a mad dash into the opposite direction. And everybody's just immediately, every gazelles followed him. The lion chased them, but he couldn't make the kill. This is the very popular you know part played in various National Geographic documentaries. Sometimes lion makes the kill, sometimes he doesn't, and sometimes the gazelles get to live another day, and sometimes they don't. So this is not about whether they uh, get to live another day or not. It's that lion may kill or not, but every time the gazelles react the same way. It is the fight or flight response. Uh, the same thing humans also have. If we are alerted, if we sense some danger, there's a rush of cortisol in our body, and it will set us into fight or flight mode. And it is good for our survival, very good. Like, the cortisol is made to rise and then fall. It is not supposed to stay in our body for a long time. So that is when uh, it is very dangerous for our health, when it stays in your body for a very very long time. The whole problem with the cultures which are not good is that they don't provide a circle of safety. And some of the leaders of the organization, they feel that, okay, let's just to increase the performance, they will create an internal competition. you know they will they will so even the layoffs are an example. When you are constantly in fear that sometimes you could be in the bottom list, and one day you can, one day you have to tell your children and wife that this year my company couldn't make the numbers, so I have to, uh, so I'm laid off. So all these dangers, which unknowingly maybe they are created by leaders to create internal urgency and the danger inside, that people are always, in that low cortisol stage, drip, drip, drip by drip, it is flowing, and we don't. It is so subtle that we don't even recognize, you know. And over and long term of it damages our health, and also the damages the health of the company. So that this is very clear. Like he has mentioned so many examples that if you see, he always, compares General Electric with Costco. So General Electric, if you invest your shares in General Electric when Jack Welch was the CEO, he used to drive numbers like crazy. He used to lay off people. He used to, pit different departments with each other. And in his time, the company made so many numbers. But if you see the whole company, and Costco had a very, very great environment, and it was making a steady progress. If you see that graph over the period of 12 years, you will see some high peaks and lows in GE, and there's a steady flow graph with Costco. And at the end of the 12 years, if you invested in GE, you might get 600% reward. But if you invested in Costco, you might get 1200% reward. So it is double the time of GE. Though you feel that okay, in 1 year it made so much hype, and in another year it didn't, or maybe for 3 years, but over the period of time, you can see the results. I'll just take a small pause just to check with Sheetal ma'am that how much time I should be going on. It's an
Yeah,
it's an
we can
8.
go on for another 5 minutes. Will that be enough?
Yeah, it's basically 8-hour long audiobook, and I was a little confused that which stories to cover and which not to. 5-10 minutes would do. Take it.
Yeah, yeah. You have another 5 minutes to go. Yeah.
Sure. So there is. I'll just take through the index part that what is covered and what. So there is a company called NextJump. They have implemented this program called lifetime employment. So when you implement a program like that, uh, the only variables you have is that you have to focus more on whom you are inducting in the company, uh, and how to train people. So there is a beautiful story of NextJump. Then there's this again, going back to Paleolithic era and where we have come from. He's explaining why we have leaders, why we are into this hierarchy. Wherever you go, wherever, even at home, even at offices, even at large corporations, even at government leadership, there's a hierarchy. Someone is alpha, someone is of alpha status, and why we have come up in that way, which is again good for us, and he has explained that part very well. Um, there's this particular August 5th, 1981, the story of President Ronald Reagan, where he fired more than 11,000 air traffic controllers, and that was the day we never had in the world, we never had layoffs. Like this word was never there prior to 1981. There was this one particular case study wherein unintentionally, President Ronald Reagan did something which informed all the corporations that, okay, this is something normalized. We can also do this. Um, then there is the whole chapter on abstraction. The problem is this Stanley Milgram is a Yale psychologist, and he conducted an experiment to understand why, Hitler, in the time of Hitler, why the whole it was not just 1% or 2% doing such a mass genocide. It is not possible. Like, what was he wanted to understand that what was the mentality of, because even just Hitler's giving orders to do something, it doesn't work. Like, there are so many layers, that superior manager below, the manager below it. So everybody has to agree and do the things, do that horrifying things to people. So he conducted an experiment wherein there were shocks given to, the subjects were told that they are giving shocks to some other subjects, and it was designed in a way that there were 4 layers of abstraction. One in which the person has to physically harm that person. Other is when he's just sitting in that same room. Another is he's sitting next room, and one is when he's sitting next room but he cannot hear or see the person whom he is giving the harm. And his study concluded that when you cannot see the person or hear the person or whom you are causing harm, you are more likely to even kill them. So that's a very remarkable research. Um, there's the law part, where there's stories of Titanic, there's stories of Taj Hotel, Goldman Sachs. I'll just cover one or two in very short. So Titanic was 4 times larger the ship during that time, and the regulations at that time only had the lifeboat numbers, of 1/4 of the size of the Titanic, and they created the space for the whole lifeboats, but they didn't put the lifeboats. Only they put 1/4 the amount required for the regulation, and out of like more than 1,500 people died out of more than 2,500 passengers. So some people, so he was explaining about within like how people how authorities give excuses about the law, and which is they're legally correct but they are morally wrong. There is 2008 study, Harvard business professor Rohit Deshpande, he studied Taj Hotel, that why the, the staff of Taj Hotel had risked their own life to save the guest life. And he found that they hire people from 2-tier cities, and they have created a culture where they are told to take care of their guest first above everything. And so that is the beautiful culture. And 3M, if you have heard, it's a it makes lot of inventions. If you see, if they put a sticker, 3M sticker in every product every product they manufacture, you will see 3M 60 to 70 times a day. That many number of products they manufacture. And there's one story of sticky notes. We all know the sticky note story, that it was the person who was inventing that glue. Mistakenly, he was basically inventing a strong glue, but mistakenly he could make a very weak glue, and he didn't throw it away or he didn't hide himself the mistakes. He just shared it, and somebody figured out to use it as a sticky note or book. Yeah, and so what he's trying to say is that when the culture is very open, when people can share mistakes with each other, so more than 80% of 3M's patents are not from, like, they're from more than one inventor. When there is collaboration, the company and the invention, the ideas thrive. Um, there is one beautiful story of a submariner and how he led his team. It was the worst team in US, like in the submarine US Navy. Uh, US Navy, he was the submariner, and he raised to the position of Captain Marquet, where he was in a position to lead a crew in one of the ship. And the ship initially was Olympia, and then he was told to look out for Santa Fe. and Santa Fe had the worst crew of all the time. And he cannot, just go to the shore and say that, give me a new recruit, give me a new group of crew, or give me a good ship. He cannot say that. He has to live with whatever he has. And when his decisions, what he do with them, can be converted into life and death. It's a matter of life and death. So he strategically, he uh, transformed that team, and it's a beautiful, beautiful story. And he has also written a book on his life story, that how he transformed that team into, just by simple things, like just telling that permission to granted. They have changed that to I intend to, just not permission but intent. I would not kill the. If you go through the book, you will understand. And I just finish it. Like, there are a lot of like, as I said, it's a 8-hour long book, and there are a lot and lot of stories. And at the end, the only message is that, maybe what we do, it might help us, in maybe in our own career, or maybe in our, if if you're in a if your kids are, teenagers, and they are entering into the corporate life, can you can help them spot the red flags. You can help them, um, you know navigate uh, navigate through their career without, deep steep valleys of regret and uh, pain. So, I- so at the end, like, what he's trying to say is, it's all about taking care of the people to the right of us and to the left of us. And his tagline is that we we all should let's all should be the leader we wish we had. And that's the last line. And I guess I may have missed out many stories, but that's the time limit, and I'll hand over to Sheetal ma'am.
Thank you so much, Forum. It was indeed a wonderful book. I really would love to go and grab one and start reading. It is wonderful, wonderful. And, the kind of insights you gave into this book really inspires me to go and pick up this book. I would quickly like to have the feedback of Dr. Ladva. So, how did you like the book talk? Because I had really forced him that he should be here. He's one of the good leaders
And
we have.
it was a
Yes,
very
sir,
nice talk,
please.
Forum. Congratulations. I think you have not read the book, but you have felt this book. I mean, what makes me feel good is the release of various hormones and chemicals in our body to give us a different sensation and different moods. And one of the pious chemicals, and because of the over-flooded oxytocin in my mother's body, I could came into this world. So it is that much pious. Oxytocin is the hormone gifted by God to the human body. But again, fine. These all are dopamine, if you say, serotonin, oxytocin, cortisol. These all are chemicals, complex chemicals made by, synthesized by our body as and when we require. And soon after the completion of the work, it vanishes and then do their other function in the body. But the important thing is that after release of the chemicals, whatever good or bad feeling is being sensed by our self, not by the body. So
True.
body is not testing, body is not feeling, but myself, that is my own soul, feels this. This is what I consider. Okay,
Yes.
fine. Yeah, please.
Yes,
Forum?
exactly. Like he mentions this, that our primitive brain doesn't know that now we are not in the open savannas. He's they
Hmm.
Our primitive brain still considers that we might be in the life and death situation. So
Hmm.
it does
Sarvam.
it work. It does it
Hmm.
work, but they don't know that we are in a AC powered cool offices, and there's nothing, there's nothing such a danger that which can kill us. But it is doing its work as if something is going to kill us. So what you said is correct, that there's this difference of our primitive brain and the neocortex brain, which is recently developed, in us. So yeah,
Hmm.
that is true.
Very fine, very fine. Again, in so many respects, we are primitive. Still, we are having a primitive brain. You
Yes.
can take a recent experience of COVID-19.
Yes.
Correct. So there exists a very dynamic equilibrium in both type of brains,
Yes.
and only through the brain we can resonate with ourselves.
True.
Maybe. Acha. What I extracted from your talk, whether we are given a choice, whether we want to have a system-driven humans or human-driven system. So these two choices are coming in my mind from your talk and from this idea of this book. What do you say? As an higher educational institute, what we should have, a system-driven humans or human-driven systems?
Uh, as per, not my opinion, but what all the understanding this author has gained after all these years, he would say that nothing can replace humans. I skipped that part in this book, that where he's, elaborating on why we have
Mm,
leaders, and it is very anthropological, very going back to our survival. That okay, if somebody is catching the food, coming up with hunting an animal, and if everybody, બધા તૂટી પડે animal ઉપર, so
mm,
somebody may get an elbow and somebody may get an the meat. So it's like that. Someone who is like the sporty person will get whatever they want, and someone like artist of the family, very thin and, you know fearful person, might not eat that day. So it's not a
mm,
very good system for survival. So naturally we have designed ourselves into hierarchy, that there is a leader and there are followers, and leadership is task is to give up the self interest. So followers will give them all the perks, and in return the group is not foolish. We give you all the perks, we give you the best part of meat, the best part of meat, but whenever there is a danger, you have to look after for us, you have to go first in the danger. So that is the price of leadership. And and we are highly social animals, and we cannot replace that with systems.
mm,
So there are a lot of there is a lot of part which I have skipped. That I have only elaborated just 2 to 3 stories. But
mm.
when you
True,
go
true.
through it, yeah.
Definitely, you have initiated my interest in reading this book. I'll be going through whenever time permits me. Thank you for everything. And beta, one more thing came into my mind. We are not animals. Social. Humans can never be called social or antisocial animals. We are not animals. Number one, we are humans. Number one. And number two, Sadhguru, Acharya Jaggi, he was telling that if you remove a caterpillar from the ecosystem, within very 4.5 years, the entire living earth will vanish. But if you remove human from the ecosystem, then ecosystem will flourish.
Yes, we have heard this in many different forms.
Fine. So that is more, I mean, relevant to your talk. So everything depends on the environment we create internally and externally. And of course, the external environment is the reflection of my internal one, maybe.
True, true, true. Thank you.
But
Thank you
thank
so
you,
much.
Beta. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
Very much.
Nagraj sir. Thank you,
Haji.
Nagraj sir. And the forum, really, it was a very, very interesting book talk. And now I can understand why you recommended that you should read it. And I'll definitely read this one. I think all the leaders should read it. I think Simon Sinek has actually talked about the psychology that the leaders should have to make the environment better for everyone to flourish, for everyone to evolve. So I thank you for this wonderful book talk. And I also thank Om sir for hosting us. Om sir, thank you so much. It was a holiday today at the Institute, but he is here to help us. So thank you very much. Thank you, Forum. And we will definitely ask all our students also to go through this and, whoever can make it and watch the